Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President Vladimir Putin have addressed the media after their summit today. Before the press conference, both sides exchanged several memorandums of understanding between ministers of the two countries. PM Modi has said he takes immense pleasure in welcoming President Putin to the summit. In fact, he also said they reviewed all aspects of cooperation with economic ties as the top priority. He's also announced that India and Russia have agreed on an economic cooperation program running until 2030. Modi said the close bonds between people of both nations are growing, and to support this, India is opening 2 new consulates in Russia. On Ukraine, Prime Minister Modi said India welcomes the efforts for a peaceful and lasting solution and is ready to contribute in the future. Additionally, President Putin said that Russia aims to hit $100 billion in trade with India by 2030. We're in breaking updates now. Coming in on the broadcast, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has emphasized that both India and Russia are taking steps to realize an FTA with the Eurasian Economic Union after bilateral talks with President Putin. He has said to further economic cooperation, we've signed a Vision 2030 document. Today, both of us will take part in the India-Russia Business Forum. I'm confident this platform will strengthen our business relations and open new avenues for co-production and co-innovation. Both countries are also taking new steps to realize an FTA with the Eurasian Economic Union. Surinder Singh Lali, international affairs expert, is with us live on the broadcast. Surinder Singh Lali, Prime Minister Modi emphasizing that an FTA is on the cards, that an India-Eurasia FTA perhaps will be signed. It is being worked towards. Your first reaction to this big statement by Prime Minister Modi on this proposed FTA, Surinder Lali?
Yes, Uday, I think it's a total shift in global order, which I call the polycentric world. Uday, let's take it from the top. What is the message? This FTA and the optics this is going to create, not just to the United States, is that India will not be cowed down. We will not succumb to any pressure from the West, irrespective of the tariffs and however they wish to economically penalize India. India is an independent country. It has an opinion of its own, and it will do what is in the interest of our 1.4 billion people. As the Prime Minister has been repeatedly saying and said this morning, that we are in neither one of the camps. We are in the camp of peace. And Uday, if you look at it, how it panned out even in the morning, the visit to the Rajghat, the 21 gun salute, gifting the Gita, the messaging from the Rajghat also by Mr. Putin, if I just tell you the operative part was that it's a multipolar world and peace and humanity needs to prevail. So Uday, it's a very large message. There is a big shift in global center today where A, India cannot be taken for granted, and B, Russia is also gaining a lot of traction now. I mean, Russia is now, if you realize, shifting from Europe to Asia, because most of Europe and the allies are, now I can take the liberty of saying almost dead economies. I mean, Europeans thought, the NATO thought that Russia would collapse by now, but that is not what is happening. And India and Russia are creating a new history, a new paradigm shift, where now a lot of global order for the global south and in this part of the world will be dictated by the Republic of India under the very able leadership of Honorable Prime Minister and a very nimble and deft Foreign Minister, Mr. Jaishankar. Uday.
Yes, absolutely. Also, Karori Singh, Foreign Affairs expert, if I can rope you in, Prime Minister Modi also talking about how, the economic ties have been strengthened today, saying a Vision 2030 document has been agreed upon by both sides. President Putin also spoke about how they aim to take trade to $100 billion by 2030. Also saying that the India-Russia Business Forum today will be strengthening the focus on the trade ties and the economic outlook between the two nations, and particularly, as PM Modi has said, this Vision 2030 resolve between both nations.
Yes, you see that India's strategy right at the moment is to develop internal strength through Make in India and Atmanirbhar Bharat. And in that strategy and policy, Russia has potentials to contribute. First is in the defense sector. particularly the air and the maritime defense sector. So that regard, India and Russia are cooperating, and Russia is coming forward for joint production or co-production in India. So certainly it will contribute to the India's Make in India and the Atmanirbhar Bharat. As regards the trade, there's a huge trade deficit between the two countries. If the trade is reaching up to the 100 billion by 2030, how the trade deficit will be balanced, that is the big challenge before both the countries. In fact, Russia has told about a month back or so that now Russia will buy more things from India to balance the trade. But what's the strategy about that? I don't think any strategy has been worked out to balance that trade. So the trade balance will be a big problem if we are envisaging $100 billion trade by 2030. So the balancing trade, apart from the balancing of trade, the payment system is another problem, because it will antagonize United States, because both the countries are envisaging trade in local currency. So US may not be annoyed about the defense agreements, the defense co-production in India. But certainly US will not like to have trade in local currency bypassing the SWIFT system. So that is another challenge for the India, and particularly India. So how things will move forward, how of course we are talking much about the joint co-production in India, but what about the India's investment in Russia? How India and Russia can have a co-production in Russia? That is another challenge, given the situation of this war situation or the Ukraine-Russia crisis. So unless or until there is a co-production in both the countries, I don't think trade can be balanced. Another thing is the US right at the moment is on the Indian side as well. The last month, US has released a national security strategy report, 33-page report, where US envisages India's role as a regional security provider in beyond Quad. So how India will be able to provide the regional security in this part of the world without Russia or with Russia, and what will be the US attitude if India is providing security with the Russian help, with the cooperation with Russia? So there are multiple challenges. Still, India-Russia relations are towards the right direction. And I think considering the historical experience and contemporary situation, in fact, the contemporary situation is more challenging.
Yes.
Challenging in the sense world is not polarized. Right at the moment, world is fragmented. And there are large number of uncertainties, not only financial and economic, but other types of uncertainties are there. How to cope such a situation?
Let me take that to Major General Bansal as well. Major General Bansal, a resolve to increase trade to $100 billion level by 2030, and a resolve to bring out an FTA very, very soon between the Eurasian Economic Council. Also, a Vision 2030 document, a resolve for that as well. And then there is the India Business Forum, India-Russia Business Forum still to go today as well. We're getting a clear, big push towards closening economic ties. How do you interpret this?
I think the previous speaker has very appropriately pointed out about the trade deficit, because there is about a $68 billion trade in total between Russia and India is only exporting about $5 million. So there is a lot of difference and gap, how it will be filled. Of course, there had been certain proposals, and one of the proposals is of that free trade agreement. And the most important is the skilled and semi-skilled worker could be the proposal that, yes, Russia will have from India. So that may be one of the services which India will provide. And there are certain things more that our Prime Minister has said that years will help Russia for building ships and training their people, and that is the basically in Arctic region. So various methodology has to be really, this is such a big gap, and that is true when the energy import is there from Russia, Now, how to do it? That's a bigger challenge, of course. Now, about 7 to 8 trade agreement has been signed between India and Russia. So all these things will come into action, but this problem will remain. As far as the local currency or ruble is concerned, I think our Prime Minister in India has been always making a statement that we do not want to degrade dollars, or our aim is not that. So in that case, having a trade with rubles and rupees, which has already been started, and a lot of this rupees has been collected with Russia because we are making payment to Russia. That is also one of the problem. So this has a real modus operandi has to be worked out, how to bridge this gap of trade deficit. Various mechanisms are being planned, but this is just to see that how to go about it. Back to you.
All right. My thanks to all of our guests for joining us on this discussion. It's time for a very short break.